A very good afternoon to everyone. We are going to be starting shortly.
The next speaker session of this summit will be chaired by the ex-principal scientist of IARI Pusa with the specialty Mushrooms Cultivation and Future Scope, Dr. B.L Dhar, and co-chaired by Dr. Rekha Mehrotra, Associate Professor, Shaheed Rajguru College of Applied Sciences for Women, University of Delhi.
Dr. Dhar, I would request the chair, co-chair, and all the speakers to kindly join us on stage. Dr. Dhar is a renowned agricultural researcher, particularly renowned for his work in the areas of mycology and plant pathology, and has been active in the field since 1964. Sir holds a PhD from the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi. He has spent 40 years in agricultural research and development and more than 30 years in mushroom R&D. He is the former director of Mushroom Research Development and Training Center. Sir was the principal scientist at the Indian Agricultural Research Institute. He is the former head of mushroom research at the Indian Council Agricultural Research Institute. He has been honored as the mushroom personality by the International Society of Mushroom Science, UK. Currently, Dr. Dhar is providing consultancy services through NN Mushroom Consultancy India. Sir's numerous contributions to the agricultural field, ranging from innovative mushroom cultivation techniques to research on composting processes and sustainable practices, have had a far reaching impact on the mushroom community in India. Dr. Dhar possesses an unparalleled wealth of knowledge and expertise in the field of mycology and is truly a legendary researcher. We are beyond grateful to have him here. Over to you now, sir.
My presentation is about specialty mushrooms. I was basically a man of button mushrooms. My specialty was total on button mushrooms, my all colleagues know here. But shifted my loyalty to the other mushroom, that is more acceptable mushroom, more healthier mushroom, or more nutritious mushroom, and easy to grow, cheaper, and that is the king oysters. King oysters is. Today I'll be presenting the work on this cultivation of specialty mushrooms, the work that I did. Can I have my first slide? Or you want me to come here?
No, I'm changing, sir, for you. I'm changing the
अच्छा
slide.
पहले क्या है?
वो वाली
No, पहला नाम.
ये
Yeah.
इधर भी आ रहा है.
Yeah, it's more convenient for me. Opportunities and scope of cultivation of edible specialty mushroom. This work was done by me at Bijwasan. I was working there as a director. I had a big group of scientists working with me. Neeraj Srivastava and Jitendra Kumar, Himanshu, Sonika Tyagi and Priyanka. They are all engaged in mushrooms this time. This was a group we worked for about 2.5 years and produced this work, and I'm continuing with this work. But I'm showing you this just to give credit to them for this Mushroom Research Development and Training Center. Dr. Manjit has visited us here, and he was very happy seeing us. Kata, what work he had to do as a director at Seoul, and you are doing it here. And this was his comment. Usha farm, Bijwasan. Now Usha is no more. She died a couple of months back. A very dynamic lady. Next. These are the specialty mushrooms. King oyster, grey oyster, this is black oyster, grey oysters, pink oysters, then Portobello brown, white oysters, shiitake, and shimeji, and of course Volvarilla is not a specialty. I have included it because sometimes I have to go to some areas where Volvarilla is considered to be a specialty mushroom. Next. Specialty mushrooms are those which are not commonly grown in that country and which are not commonly available over the counter. The specialty varies from country to country. What is specialty for us, it may not be for China. China, the button mushroom is considered a specialty mushroom. Next. Mushroom is the 6th economically important crop in China. It is as important as after wheat, whatever rice. Very important crop, because they were earning a lot of money, a lot of revenue from mushrooms. They are the largest producers in the world, and China produces about 16.82 million tons of mushrooms. Of course, of 2007 figures, they have changed. About 70 to 75% of the total world production. Next, these are the, I already explained, these are the specialty mushrooms. Black oyster, pink oyster. This is the black oyster. Next, this is the white oyster. Next, this is the pink oyster. This is the grey oyster. This is the yellow oyster. This is king oyster. This is shiitake. This is portobello brown. This is shimeji. This is auricularia, the black ear mushroom. This is Flammellina velutais, this inokitaki, the most expensive mushroom we have in the world. Next. Now, cultivation technology of all these mushrooms, the broad outline. I can't give you more details. Next. This is the substrate formulation for all these oysters. That's wheat straw based all mushroom, excepting the king oyster and shiitake. This is wheat straw. It can be very conveniently grown on wheat straw. Is supplemented with rice bran, calcium carbonate, vitamins, some the moisture content held at this spawn. Then pasteurized spawn unit 2 kg per 100 kg. Spawn run takes about 12 days, 14 days, and then cropping in 20 to 20. Next, this is the straw. You can use this straw. This is dry straw. Next. When you wet it, this is how it looks like. It has to imbibe moisture. If it does not imbibe, your surface wet it, then it will not. You will not be able to grow mushrooms. It has to imbibe water to all the cells, dry cells. That means soak it for about 48 to 72 hours. Next. Then it goes to the pasteurization chamber. Pasteurization chamber that I am proposing to develop at your college. Small pasteurization chamber. You can see this is spawning of after pasteurization. They are spawned in the spawning room and bagged, and they go to the spawn run. Next, go to the spawn run room where spawn running takes place. You can see this. Then when they turn white, remove the polythene, and after 1 week or 10 days, next you get the pinhead formation. This is a black oyster mushroom. Next, this is king oyster. Next, this is white oyster. Now that was grey oyster. This is white oyster. Next, this is pink oyster. This is the yellow oyster. You can see left hand side, this is a cropping room full of yellow oysters. On the right hand side, they are magnified. See the beautiful crop of mushroom that this farm is located in Model Town. The spawn maker, where I go on every Saturday, he grows these mushrooms in his climate control cropping room. Next, cultivation technology of king oysters, mushrooms and shiitake, which is sawdust is used. So you see, heap the sawdust, and next, tell you, sawdust is heaped, water put in the middle, and then is mixed thoroughly, and then is put inside the polybags. Next, filled into the polybags with a hole in the center, and then sterilized. Next, it's sterilized, and then it goes to the laminar flow for inoculation. After inoculation, it goes to the incubation room. Next, king oyster mushroom. Next, so this formulation for king oyster, sawdust, rice bran. Next, this is the king oyster running in the bags. This is when we open the bags is for cropping. Next, this is pinhead formation, pinning. Next, This is the crop of king oysters. You can see a huge growth. Then the shiitake. This is the formulation. Next, this is shiitake spawn run completed. Then browning is very important. Without browning, it will not fruit. And this is this shiitake mushroom growing on this synthetic logs. Next, shimeji mushroom. This is the formulation. This is the complete spawn run. This is the shimeji crop. You can see shimeji mushrooms. This is used principally for soup making. It gives a little sourness to the soup in China, but I don't know, we didn't like this mushroom here. Next, black hair mushroom. This is the formulation. This is the spawn run. This is the cropping. This is held like wine bottles. The mushroom comes out from the side. Next, pedistra. Formulation. How it is stacked one above the other after wetting per 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours. Next, draining the water. Then you stack it into a rectangular stack. Then spawn it, cover it with a polythene bag, spawning, and use some chana dal, gram powder. Next, cover it up. Next, polythene cover. Within 4 to 5 days, spawn run is complete. And another 24 to 48 hours after removing the cover, you get these beautiful mushrooms. Next, cultivation of Portobello brown. Next, this is the formulation for compost making, same as button. You can see this is the composting yard that I am proposing to build, a smaller one than this at the college. And this is the bunker. Next, this is the pasteurization chamber. This is the spawning room. We have to take the material out of the pasteurization chamber and then spawn it, bag it, and take it to the incubation room for spawn run. You can see then after complete spawn run, we case it. After that, the Portobello brown grows on top of it. This is the Portobello brown crop. This is non-hybrid mushroom and which grows into bigger size without opening. But normal mushrooms, hybrids, we grow them to this big size, they open up. This is the cropping rooms that we built at Bijwasan, Osha Farm. Here you can see the 2 cropping rooms with climate controls. You can see inside the lower one, on the corner you can see the sensors placed inside the corner. These sensors are connected to the interface. You can see the interface integrator on the door on the outside. Left, top left, you can see the dabba, that is interface integrator. And you connect it with this and then it controls the temperature and humidity. You can see on top this white, that is the air handling unit. It was devised by Mangla. Mr. Mangla was a product air conditioning expert. And you can see the beautiful crop of Pleurotus growing in this and pattern. Next. Thank you. I didn't want to take much of your time. I have finished my talk in 15 minutes. If you have any questions. Now I request, I think Dr. Manjeet. Dr. Manjeet will make his presentation.
Hello, sir. Yes. Sir, why have you put portable specialty mushroom since it's disposals only?
Why are you?
Portobello in this category of specialty mushrooms.
Specialty, Portobello also is a specialty mushroom, but it's not commonly grown here. Portobello is not commonly grown over here because it is not like any other hybrid mushroom, button mushroom that we grow. This is a special type of mushroom which is liked all over the world only on this form. The people Whenever it remove the danda and the gills, fill it with keema or paneer or anything of their choice, sizzle it and then it's served with wire. So it's a very common mushroom, commonly grown mushroom in Europe and America, especially in this form. It's sizzled, not cooked completely. And it is a harder texture and you enjoy it.
We are honored to have Dr. Manjeet Singh, a distinguished individual who is the president of the Mushroom Society of India. Dr. Singh has previously served as the vice president of the World Society of Mushroom Biology and Mushroom Products, as well as the former director of the Directorate of Mushroom Research at the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, ICAR DMR in Solon, India.
Before coming for this summit, I was thinking that in my 50 years of career, 40 as a working professional and 10 years after retirement, I have attended many seminars, symposia, conferences, congress, workshop. But this is for the first time that I am attending a summit. Something similar happened with me when last week I was in Punjab University. They had Biotechnology Fest. Before that, I had also not attended the fest. But now I realize that irrespective of the word we use, the aim of assembling here is to interact. And throughout, I had one thinking: no policy can succeed without good science, and there cannot be any good science without good data. And in mushroom, we are still struggling for the good data, and my today's presentation is based upon the work of my predecessors, some of the work which we have done for collecting the data. As was told in the morning that commercial cultivation started only after World War II, and in 1960 the production was only 0.17 million ton. And for the first 20 years, you can see y is equal to 0.05x. That means only 0.05 million ton was added annually. In the next 20 years, there was slight increase in the growth with y is equal to 0.32x. And this century has seen a very sharp rise. And by 2020, our calculation is that the production in the world reached 45 million ton, and we believe that it is likely to be over 50 million ton by 2025. FAO stat is at present almost akin with what we are showing. It says that in 2021 the world production is 44.2 million ton. But if we try to work out the increase over the previous years, in the present century you see a very typical trend that in the first 10 years from 2001 to 12, you can see that there is every year around 10% increase. But in the last few years, we see that the increase in global production according to FAO stat is only 2 to 3%. And relative contribution of Asia is much more in this 44.2 million ton, that is over 95%. FAO stat was not the same 2 years ago, because in the morning there was a reference of 2% and 75% by China. And in many of the old publications before 2021, you will see the world production data being mentioned as 10 million ton, 11 million ton or 12 million ton. Here is the FAO stat accessed up to August 2021, which means that all the publications based on FAO stat before 2021 will be mentioning this data, but now FAO stat has corrected these figures and now the values are much more, and this is based upon the work which myself, Dr. V.P. Sharma was here in the morning, Dr. Shwet Kamal is sitting with me. We three tried to collect the data and published it, and we also interacted with the statistical division with FAO so that there can be synchronization of the data. and data has been more or less synchronized, and data has been collected for countries like Japan, for China, for India, for Canada. In Japan, for example, they were treating only fresh shiitake as the mushroom, whereas the production was much more. In Canada, it was the reverse. The Canadian data was in ton, but it was in short ton, so it was uh, at least 10 to 15% more than the actual in the tonnage. As was said in the morning that when commercial cultivation started in 1960, major share was of button mushroom, that was more in Europe and US, and in Japan it was shiitake. As the time changed, world production increased, share of other mushrooms started increasing. In 81 it was agaricus was 72, 90 agaricus was still the leading mushroom with 38% share, and by 97 also I think button mushroom, in the last century button mushroom remained number one mushroom. But in this century the other mushrooms have grown much faster, and by 2013 shiitake became number one mushroom. In 18 shiitake share increased to 26%, and our latest estimates are that out of 45 million ton in 2020, shiitake is 27.4%. For lotus, if we pool both Austratus and Aranjai, it is 21.5%. Auricularia, two main species, Polytricha and Auricula, that is 20.4%. And button's share is less than 10%. These are the top 10 mushroom countries: China, Japan, Poland, US, Netherlands, India, Spain, Canada, Russian Federation, and France. And these 10 account for 98% of the world mushroom production. In China, if we see, from 2001 to 21, there is more than 5 times increase, from 7.82 million ton to 41.34 million ton. I think this is, you will see in all the countries that there are localized regions where mushroom production is more. Here also on the left side, out of the 31, 32 or 33 as Chinese claim, out of those 30 plus provinces, these 5 provinces on the left, they account for more than 50% of the production. The other 5, they are accounting for another 25%, and rest is by the remaining 20 provinces. What we saw in the world production, because China is a major contributor, same trend we can see that in China, there was about 12% increase over the previous year up to 2013, but the growth has declined in China also in the last few years. China is considered a major producer, but it was not always so. If we go look at the figure of 1978, it was producing only 50,000 ton of mushroom, or 0.06 million ton, which was only 6%. Or if we put it, it was only 1/5 of what India is producing today. But over the time, China has made great strides, and now China's share in the world production is 93%, with other countries like Japan, Poland, USA, Netherlands. Earlier, USA used to be number 2, but now other countries like Japan and Poland are taking over in the production, and as we'll see as we go further. Many times we start feeling that the production of China is too much to be true. Right, we should doubt it, but then we should also verify. So we try to do it in a different way, because we believe that production is a function of population and area of the country. We said that let's see that on population basis, that is production per person, how much it is. We realized that in 2000, the production of China was only 1/3 of Netherlands, and in 2010, the production per person on the basis of population in Netherlands and China was same, but now it has increased to almost double. If we look at the production on the area basis, because China is a big country, then we see that in 2000, Netherlands produced 9 times more, in 2010 3 times more, and even today on the basis of area, Netherlands is producing 1.5 times more. China's production is more because their population is more and their area is more. But now then you will ask the same question for India. Why not the same picture in India? As we will go further, we will try to debate it maybe today or next day in the further discussion. Five genera in China account for 86% of the production, that is Lentinula, Auricularia, Polotus, Mamulina, Agaricus. These are the major genera. And in the last 10 years, the contribution of these genera has also changed significantly. For example, if you look in 2010, Shiitake contributed 23% and today Shiitake share is 38%. Polotus austratus, from 30%, its share has come down to 18%, but Aranjai is increasing. Another, I think, which should be of interest to us from our country point of view, they are the share of industrial and seasonal production of different species. If you look at the bottom, only 9% of the production of China is coming from industrial houses and 91% is coming from the seasonal cultivation. And some of the most common mushroom we talk about, that is Shiitake, Auricularia and Protus austratus, they are 100% seasonal cultivation. And Flammulina, Protus aranjai, Agaricus bisporus, there it is both seasonal as well as industrial cultivation. When I say seasonal, this is a picture of seasonal cultivation of Shiitake. I realize that when they seasonal, that doesn't mean that they do everything outside. Here, part of the process is done in the laboratory up to the inoculation, and once it is at the spawn run stage, then they bring it for the seasonal cultivation, unlike which we are doing in our Haryana or other area, that for button we are still making compost outside in long method, not there. There the preparation of substrate is scientific under controlled condition. Once the substrate is ready, it has been spawned, then it comes out for seasonal cultivation. But of course for commercial cultivation there is total automation, and what we observed that except for harvesting, not even harvesting, only cutting was manual, the rest everything was totally automated. In the last few years, the Aranjai has seen a rapid increase in the production. Gynoderma, again you can see that from 16 to 21 has seen a rapid rise from 123 to 189,000 ton. Likewise, Cordyceps militaris, there is increase. In the morning, I think we were talking about it in the exhibition. We are growing Cordyceps militaris in India also. But Chinese, they have also standardized the technology for Ophiocordyceps sinensis. And in the last few years, they have started the commercial cultivation of sinensis, which I think we are yet to attempt in our country. Morcella, as Dr. Sharma in the morning told, we have also cultivated. China also growing from last few years. And you can see a very sharp increase in the production in the last few years. Coming to the second largest producer, Japan, here you can see in this century, for the first 10 years there was increase, but in the last 8 or 10 years, there is almost stagnation around 460,000 ton. And just like China, here also they have got, I think, 47 provinces or prefectures as they call it. Only 2 provinces, Nagano and Niigata, they account for more than 55% of the mushroom production of the Japan. So these are the major species. We will see it as we go further. And out of 460 million, I think Flammulina is their number 1, Hypsizygus number 2, and Shiitake is at number 3. But it was not like this all the time. Here if you look at this picture, in 1980, you can see that Shiitake was accounting for 63% of the production, whereas today Shiitake's share in the total production is only 18%. which means that if we are growing button today in India, it doesn't mean that we will not grow other mushrooms. Dr. Dhar presented about specialty mushrooms, and my experience with interaction with the growers is that many of the growers in India are now interested to grow mushrooms other than button mushroom. And likewise, here you can see Pilotus austratus. In 90, it was a major contributor. Now it is contributing nothing. Erenjai, which started around 95, has almost replaced Pilotus austratus in China. And unlike China, where we saw a major share of seasonal cultivation, I think in Japan, the focus is on commercial cultivation, industrial cultivation, and they take, I think, mostly one flush, except in case of shiitake. Republic of Korea, I have included this slide because in FAO stat, the data is still to be corrected, and here also the production is around 2,000 tons, and you can see it that up to 85 there was a slow increase, then there was rapid increase, and now there is stabilization in the production. And here, lotus species in Korea are accounting for more than 50% of the production. Coming to US, in the last century, I think there was a continuous increase. You can see from 1970 to 2000. And then I think there was a sort of stagnation. And in the last few years, you can see a decline. Unlike other countries, just like other countries, here you can see that out of the 50 states, only 2 states, Pennsylvania and California, they are producing around 75 to 80% of the total mushroom that is produced in US. And button has a major share, 96%. And in button, as of today, white button is 65% and 32% is brown button. And specialty mushrooms, as we say, that shiitake and oyster are accounting for only 3%. I think I'll move to the next slide. Here, I think it is should be of interest to the growers in our country that brown button is picking up everywhere. In the US, in 2006, it was only 12% of the total button production that was button. Today, brown button share is around 33%, which means that people are now preferring button, and button is also slightly costly. And I think because there are so many students, this mushroom initially used to be only brown. It was in 1926 that at a farmer field a variant occurred which was white. It was cultured by Lambert, and what we are getting these as white button is a variant of the brown button only. Originally in nature you will not get white button mushroom. White button mushroom is only what we are growing. And as I said that the trends are changing towards brown button, that is Crimea and Portabella. And here is the latest data, July 16, 2023, for the 4 weeks. Here you can say that white button amounted to 11.5 million pounds, that is 60%. And 38% money came from brown button and only 2% came from the exotics. And I think in Netherlands and possibly in other parts of Europe, demand for brown varieties and mushrooms and exotics is on the increase in the recent years. Coming to Canada, which is adjacent to US, here also you can see that there is a continuous increase, and like other countries, only two provinces, Ontario and British Columbia, are accounting for 93% of the total mushroom produced in Canada. And I think one thing interesting that has happened after Corona, you can see it that in 2020, the share of quantity sold for processing increased from 7% to around 12%. That has been the impact through which we all went through in the last few years. In Europe, Poland, Netherlands, Spain, and France are the major contributors, and the 10 countries listed here. They account for most of the mushroom production in the Europe, and others other than these, out of 28, the remaining 17, 18 are contributing only 6% of the mushroom. And in whole of Europe also, you can see there is a stabilization of the mushroom production used for total production, used for fresh market, for fresh farm processing. But this is not the whole story, because if we go to the micro level, you can say that there are changes taking place within the countries. For example, in Netherlands, it is a stabilization or slight decline. In Poland, there is an increase. And in France, from 196, it has come to 99. And in Spain also, it is very slow growth. In European Union also, I think button accounts for the major part, 97%. Specialty are accounting for only 4%. And that is also mainly in Spain, Italy, Germany. And the political situations are affecting the mushroom other than corona. For example, recently you can see that Ukraine war has affected the labor situation in the Poland. There was an embargo on export to US. At that time also we saw in Belarus and other countries there were some major changes taking place. Because of this embargo, you can see it that earlier for Russia it was easier to import rather than grow. But in the last 10 years, the Russian production has gone from 4,200 to 1,11,000. That is a 26 time increase in the last decade. This is what the political situations do to the production. Australia, there are two data available. One is why the Australian Horticulture Statistics Handbook, Hot Innovation, what they call, according to which it is around 70,000 tons. But in FAO stat, you will find the data of Australian Bureau of Statistics, which says that the actual production is around 40% less than what is being claimed by the Hot Innovation. Many other countries, then they are listed in the FAO stat, are also producing mushroom. For example, the Bangladesh data is that it is producing 40,000 ton of the mushroom, but it is not mentioned in the FAO stat. Likewise, Nepal also producing around 10,000 ton, but again you won't find its name in the FAO stat. Same is true for many other countries. As I told that this 45 million ton which I presented in the beginning is based upon the data we have collected. In FAO stat you will get the total data, but the need for species-wise data is still there, and the data we are presenting today for you is the species-wise production data in the world. In India, I think my colleague Dr. BP in the morning presented the data that we are approaching around 300,000 ton, and state-wise, mine is older. He presented the latest one, and the relative contribution that in 70s we were totally button, and now button share is only 30%. I think to end my talk, I believe that there is a need for greater attention and planned program on species-wise mushroom production data, particularly in Asian and African countries. And there is a need for greater coordination among policymakers, scientists, growers, and markets to promote other mushrooms. As was told in the morning, that we need standard designs, better training facilities in different parts, and pilot projects which growers can copy. I think that is for the colleges or the research organization, because I find many of the farmers just copying from other farmer and making a poor design. And as highlighted in the morning, that our consumption is only 200 grams as compared to 27 kg per person per year in China. So that is also a good thing that we are consuming so less, which means that even if we start producing more, there is a lot of scope. On the other hand, this is also a concern, because we have to teach people to eat mushroom. We have to teach people how to cook mushroom. With this, I thank you for your patient listening. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Dr. Manjit. You have been a great thinker always. You have always considered you as a thinker. Anyway, any questions?
If no questions, yes, please.
My question is, what is the reason for shift in preference from white button to brown?
Brown button. My personal experience is that its taste is better than the white button. Second, the disease resistance is relatively more in the brown varieties, in the white varieties. And I think in the nutraceutical people will tell you that all these colored mushrooms possibly has got better functions for developing immunity as compared to the white mushrooms. That is maybe the reasons. Exactly, I have not worked out that why people are preferring brown. Yes, please.
I think the brown ones they last longer. Brown ones last longer than the white ones. That is also a disadvantage.
Just a minute, please. You will get the right comments now.
The brown one, but mushrooms last longer than the white ones. So there is some supermarkets, it's an advantage. So, especially when you look in Europe and Germany, at least 50% of the production nowadays is brown.
Brown. In Germany, it's 50%. Yeah.
And it is slightly moving up also in other countries.
I think that's what I said in Europe also. There is a shift towards brown varieties. And one reason is that the shelf life of white. White will start looking brown or poor quality after some time, whereas the brown variety, I think, in the market will stay. And same has been the reason for replacement of Pilotus ostratus with Pilotus arenjai. Aranjai has what you call king oyster, much better shelf life. It can stay on the shelf for 3-4 days, whereas ostratus you will have to sell the same day. And I think shelf life is a very important factor in popularization of some mushroom, because it is a win-win situation for the producer and the suppliers and the consumer.
I have also another question that is about the total production in China. There were some doubts if the numbers in FAO, if they are the real numbers. So my question to you is, are those 41 million tons, is that real or is that a little bit hard?
Now they are 44 million ton, because the 44 million ton is only because of the correction for the data for China. If we doubt the data of China, then it is high. If we agree with the data of the China, then it is not. And for China, I especially made that presentation that if we doubt the production of China, then let's look at it as that how much mushroom per person is produced. Because it's a big country, population is more. There will be more people growing mushrooms, and obviously the production will also be more. And then we realize that the production is not as high as it initially looks to be. Because up to 2010, Netherlands was producing more mushroom per person per year than a Chinese producing per person per year. There can be some exaggeration, but I think it's good for the industry that if we show that we are producing more. Because ultimately when you go to the policy makers, they decide your funding only on the basis of the scope of the business. If the scope is more, you are likely to get more funds. It's not a bad thing. But personally, I believe that I always say that it is no data is better than some data. Initially, we were struggling between 10 million ton and 45 million ton. We were publishing around 40 million ton and FAO was publishing 10 million ton. And then in our research papers, we highlighted the gross mistakes. Gross mistake was that, for example, in Japan, shiitake, as I showed you, is contributing only 18%, and fresh shiitake is much less. And if you will see our papers, we showed that the FAO stat was exact same number as was mentioned in the Japanese data for the fresh shiitake. Because Japanese thought that when they asked for the data for mushroom, they are asking for the fresh shiitake. That was the perception of mushroom. What mushroom means also varies from country to country. 10 years ago in US, when I will go, I will say mushroom, it will mean only button mushroom. Even in India, I think 10 years back, most of them, when they will say mushroom, they understand only button mushroom. They don't mean others as mushroom. That was the confusion in the data. Because of that, I think there was a lot of mismatch, and mismatch is still there. It needs to be corrected. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dhar.
Thank you so much, sir. If anyone has any more questions, we would be, I think our presenters would be glad to have them during the tea time. Right. And now, our next speaker is Dr. Lavneet Rana, Horticulture Development Officer, Horticulture Department, Government of Himachal Pradesh, on the topic A Devastating Mycopathogen, Mycogone perniciosa, or wet bubble disease, its biology and management studies.
Thank you. First of all, good afternoon to all delegates, dignitaries and बहुत सारे हमारे ग्रोअर्स भी यहाँ पे आए हुए हैं. सो मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा जो हमारे ग्रोअर्स हैं प्लीज़ आगे आ जाएं. अगर पीछे बैठे रहेंगे तो आपका जो हिस्सेदारी है वो नहीं हो पाएगी. अगर आगे आएंगे और साथ में डिस्कशन करेंगे तो ज़्यादा बढ़िया रहेगा. एंड सर आई थिंक हम लोगों को ज़्यादा साइंटिफिक ना होते हुए इंडस्ट्री और स्टूडेंट्स के साथ में इंटरेक्ट करते हुए इस समिट को आगे बढ़ाना चाहिए. एंड आई ऑल्सो थैंकफुल अनुराग जी एंड हिज होल टीम जिन्होंने इस प्लेटफॉर्म को सजाया है, बनाया है और इस इंडियन मशरूम इंडस्ट्री को आगे ले जाने के लिए अपना बहुत बड़ा एक मील का पत्थर साबित करने जा रहे हैं और हो चुका है. सो थैंक यू, थैंक्स अ लॉट ऑल. अब मैं आगे बढ़ूंगा और जैसे कि सब लोगों ने एक चीज़ बताई कि मशरूम, बहुत सारे मशरूम, बहुत सारी स्पीशीज़ होती हैं. मशरूम्स जो हैं वो बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट रहते हैं. मशरूम्स जो है वो हमारी डाइट में कितना हेल्पफुल है, हमारी हेल्थ के लिए कितना हेल्पफुल है, सब चीज़ें सब लोगों ने बताई. एंड सब लोगों ने हेड्स 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 हेड्स, बट देयर आर ऑल्सो टेल्स. अगर लाइफ है तो उसमें चैलेंजेस तो होंगे, तभी तो लाइफ में थ्रिल होगा. क्यों? और वैसे ही हमारी जितनी भी मैं ये बोल सकता हूँ कि एक्टिविटीज़ रहती हैं उनमें सब जगह चैलेंजेस होते हैं. मैं अगर अपने आप को आप लोगों के साथ इंट्रोड्यूस करूँ तो 20 साल मुझे कमर्शियल मशरूम ग्रोइंग में हो चुके हैं. एंड बटन मशरूम में आई थिंक आई हैव स्पेंट माई गोल्डन एज इन ग्रोइंग बटन्स. 2003 से कमर्शियल बटन मशरूम ग्रोइंग करना शुरू किया था और अभी तक बटन मशरूम ग्रो कर रहा हूँ. 97 से मशरूम को पढ़ना शुरू किया था. एंड जितने भी डिग्निटरीज हमारे बीच में बैठे हैं ये लोग मेरे रोल मॉडल्स होते थे. जब मैं पढ़ता था डॉक्टर धर वॉज द डायरेक्टर DMR और मुझे भी लगता था कि मुझे भी ऐसा बनना चाहिए, बट समहाउ इनके जैसे नहीं बन पाए. बट हाँ, इस इंडस्ट्री में कुछ ना कुछ सब लोग कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं, तो मुझे लगता है कि मैंने भी कहीं ना कहीं इंडस्ट्री में कंट्रीब्यूट किया है. एंड ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ माय एक्सपीरियंसेस मैं अपनी जर्नी को इस पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम के साथ, पर्टिकुलर चैलेंज के साथ आप लोगों के साथ शेयर करूँगा. basically it's very difficult because we have a diverse group. We have our farmers, foreign delegates, and students also. So I think it should be a mix match. And जैसे कि आप लोग जानते हैं, Mycogone perniciosa, which is known as wet bubble. Wet bubble disease, a major disease, and it takes a very major toll. It causes 0 to 100% yield loss, depending upon the degree of inoculum or amount of inoculum inside your cropping house, राइट. और हम लोग आगे डिस्कस करेंगे कि कैसे ये डिजीज़ जो है वो आगे मल्टीप्लाई भी होता है, कैसे इसको चेक भी करना है. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट. मशरूम के बारे में सब लोगों ने बता दिया है अबाउट इट्स डेलिकेसी एंड इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ फ्लैशी मैक्रो फंजाई. मशरूम्स आर फंजाई और मशरूम जो है वो फ्लैशी मैक्रो फंजाई है. उसमें डाइवर्सिटी बहुत सारी है, जैसे सुबह भी बता रहे थे, डॉक्टर साहब ने भी बताया, बहुत सारी स्पीशीज़ हैं. 32 स्पीशीज़ हम उगा रहे हैं इंडिया में, और भी ज़्यादा 40 से ज़्यादा स्पीशीज़ जो हैं ऑल अराउंड द वर्ल्ड दैट इज़ बीइंग कल्टिवेटेड. एंड अगर हम उस डाइवर्सिटी में देखें तो डाइवर्सिटी में बहुत सारी मैक्रो फंजाई हैं, एडिबल भी हैं, न्यूट्रास्यूटिक जो हैं वो भी हैं, और साथ के साथ पॉइजनस भी हैं. ऑल आर इम्पॉर्टेंट बिकॉज इट्स अ मदर नेचर. और इस मदर नेचर में सब चीज़ें जो हैं वो अपना अपना काम कर रहे हैं. आप लोग अपना काम कर रहे हैं, हम अपना काम कर रहे हैं, जो बाकी और सब लोग जो हैं इस धरा में, वो सब लोग इस मदर नेचर में अपना अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन सब कर रहे हैं. अब इन स्पीशीज़ में हम सब लोगों ने सुबह से जाना कि वाइट बटन मशरूम एगेरिकस बाइस्पोरस साइंटिफिकली जिसको हम बोल सकते हैं, बोला जाता है, विच इज़ प्रीडोमिनेंटली ग्रोन ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड एंड इंडस्ट्रियली इट इज़ वेरी मच इम्पॉर्टेंट स्पीशीज़. एंड अबाउट चैलेंजेस, जैसे कि पहले ही बात हुई, देर आर so much challenges in mushroom growing, many more challenges. In early morning, Dr. B.P. Sharma has shown you the SWOT analysis about mushroom growing, mushroom life, क्या क्या weaknesses हैं, क्या क्या strength है, what is best, what is challenging, right? So diseases are the main major challenge in mushroom growing. So with this, Mycogone perniciosa were being now and maybe for future also, maybe will be of a prime importance because it takes very high toll to the yields. क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा नुकसान करता है. जिस किसी फार्म में आता है उस फार्म में या तो बहुत टाइम तक उसको ग्रो करने में टाइम लग जाता है, सीधा होने में टाइम लग जाता है, या फिर वो फार्म जो है वो बंद हो जाता है. जैसे कि हम बात कर रहे हैं डिजीज़ की, तो ये भी एक तरह का फफूंद ही है. इट्स ऑल्सो अ काइंड ऑफ फंगस, फंजाई. और ये जो फफूंद है वो हमारे मशरूम को, जो कि फफूंद है, उसी को अटैक कर रहा है. तो इसको हम जो है वो माइकोपैरासाइट के नाम से भी संज्ञा दे रहे हैं. एंड जैसे कि मैंने बताया, नॉट ओनली इन इंडिया, अराउंड द वर्ल्ड इसका जो सिनेरियो है डिजीज़ का बहुत ज़्यादा लीथल है, डिवास्ट्रेटिंग है. इसमें जब हम इसकी बायोलॉजी की बात करें, समझने की बात करें, तो ये जो है ये एक तरह का फंजाई है. इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ फंगस, राइट, बट पैथोजेनिक फंजाई, जो कि डिजीज कॉज करेगा। कहाँ पे? जहाँ पे हम अपने बटन मशरूम्स को उगाएंगे। ज़्यादातर ये बटन मशरूम्स के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा टोल टेकिंग रहता है। और जैसे इन स्लाइड्स में आप देख सकते हैं, ये जो पेट्री प्लेट्स हैं इनमें आपको माइसीलियम दिख रहा होगा। माइसीलियम वाइट कलर, राइट? अब वाइट कलर का माइसीलियम है, इफ इट इज ऑफ वाइट कलर और योर agaricus mycelium is also of white color, so how you can differentiate both mycelium with your naked eyes? So हम लोग जब तक सिम्टम्स नहीं आ पाते हैं तब तक हम लोगों को ये पता नहीं होता है कि इसमें सिम्टम आ चुका है। जैसे कुछ साल पहले क्या कुछ दिन पहले ही हमारे बीच में कोरोना था, हम इन्फेक्टेड थे, घूम रहे थे, बट जब तक उसका एक्सप्रेशन नहीं हो रहा था डिजीज़ का, तब तक हमें भी नहीं पता था, तो बाकियों को क्या बचाते हम लोग। सो इट इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू रिकॉग्नाइज दिस डिजीज़ बाय नेक्ड आइज, राइट? और इसका जो इन्फेक्शन है एक क्रॉप से अगली क्रॉप के लिए, वो थ्रू स्पोर्स होता है ज़्यादातर। माइसीलियम क्योंकि ज़्यादा दिन तक नहीं बचता है, माइसीलियम अपने आप में स्पोरुलेशन करता है। स्पोर मीन्स सीड, एक तरह का बीज, जैसे बाकी चीज़ों का बीज होता है। स्पोर्स दो तरह के आप लोगों को दिख रहे होंगे। एक आप देखिएगा ब्लू कलर का, ब्लू कलर्ड बॉल्स, राइट? दे आर क्लैमाइडोस्पोर्स। इनको साइंटिफिकली क्लैमाइडोस्पोर्स बोलते हैं। ये जो क्लैमाइडोस्पोर्स हैं ये ओवरविंटरिंग करते हैं। ओवरविंटरिंग मतलब कि एक क्रॉप से दूसरी क्रॉप तक इन्फेक्शन करने तक ये जिंदा रहेंगे। मतलब इस साल अगर मेरे यहाँ पे मशरूम लगा है और मेरे फार्म में इन्फेक्शन था, मेरे ग्रोइंग हाउस में इन्फेक्शन था, तो अगले साल अगर ये वाला स्पोर वहाँ पे होगा तो डिजीज़ क्रिएट करेगा, डिजीज़ का कॉजल ऑर्गेनिज्म, कॉजल एजेंट बनेगा ये। इसलिए बहुत प्राइम इंपॉर्टेंस रहती है कि हम इसको चेक करें। इनको हम बोलते हैं क्लैमाइडोस्पोर्स। ये प्राइमरी इन्फेक्शन जो है वो कॉज करते हैं। उसके बाद आप बिल्कुल बारीक बारीक लंबे लंबे देख रहे होंगे बीच में, जहाँ पे पेट्री प्लेट्स के साथ में शाखाएं सी बनी हैं, उनके बीच में लंबे लंबे कैप्सूल से दिख रहे होंगे आपको, द कैप्सूल लाइक स्ट्रक्चर, दे आर कोनिडियाज। इनको साइंटिफिकली कोनिडिया बोलते हैं एंड दे आर सेकेंडरी इन्फेक्शन कॉजल स्पोर्स। सेकेंडरी स्प्रेड जो है वो इनके कारण होता है। सो वी हैव अ शॉर्ट ऑफ टाइम, हम आगे चलते हैं। सिम्प्टोमेटोलॉजी की अगर हम बात करें तो देखिएगा कि एक तो ये स्क्लेरोडर्मॉइड मासेस बना रहा है, गोल गोल गोभी की तरह स्ट्रक्चर्स बना रहा है, आपके मशरूम को डी शेप कर रहा है, उसकी शेप को चेंज कर रहा है। दूसरा, उसमें से क्या होता है कि जो आपका मिसशेपन मशरूम हो जाता है उसमें से एम्बर कलर्ड ऊज निकलता है, गोल्डन कलर ऊज निकलेगा, वहाँ से सिक्रेशन होगी गोल्डन कलर की। उसके बाद अगर हम एक और इन्फेक्शन की बात करें तो एक सबसे टॉप में पिक्चर लगी हुई है, उसमें आप मशरूम के ऊपर स्पॉट्स देख रहे हैं। हमारे सब ग्रोअर्स, जितने लॉट ऑफ ग्रोअर्स हु आर फेसिंग द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ स्पॉट्स ऑन योर मशरूम्स, हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं कि ब्लॉच हो गया है। जिंजर ब्लॉच भी आता है, सेम ऐसा ही, स्यूडोमोनास कॉज करता है उसको, बट माइकोगोनी के स्पॉट्स जो रहते हैं वो भी उसके साथ थोड़े से कंफ्यूज करते हैं। और अगर इस तरह के स्पॉट्स आपके फार्म में आ रहे हैं, इट मीन्स आपके फार्म में इन्फेक्शन जो है दैट हैज स्टार्टेड। प्राइमरी इन्फेक्शन आ चुका है हल्का सा, पर आया है थोड़ा सा लेट। आगे चलते हैं। कुछ स्टडीज़ भी थी आप देख रहे होंगे कि यहाँ पे जैसे जैसे टेम्परेचर 25 के आसपास है तो ये अपने आप में खुश है ग्रोथ में. इट लव्स द एम्बियंट टेम्परेचर. एंड जब टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज हो रहा है 35 और उससे प्लस जा रहा है तो इसकी ग्रोथ जो है वो चेक हो रही है. एंड स्टडीज शोज 52 प्लस डिग्री सेल्सियस में ये जो है ये नॉन वाइबल हो जाता है. इफेक्ट ऑफ पीएच लेवल्स, जैसे जैसे पीएच बढ़ता है इसका भी वायबिलिटी जो है वो थोड़ा सा चेक होता जाता है. प्लांट एक्सट्रैक्ट्स के ऊपर थोड़ी सी स्टडीज हुई थी जिसमें नीम ऑयल जो था उसने 2000 ppm पे अपने प्रोमिसिंग रिजल्ट्स जो थे वो मशरूम बेड्स के ऊपर दिखाए थे. फंजीसाइड्स की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो फंजीसाइड्स में कार्बेंडाजिम, कंपेनियन, आपका क्लोरोथेलोनिल एंड मैनकोजेब, ये वाले फंजीसाइड्स जो थे वो बहुत अच्छे पाए गए थे इसकी माइसीलियल ग्रोथ को चेक करने के लिए भी. एंड जब मशरूम बेड्स के ऊपर भी उनको ट्राई किया गया तो बढ़िया थे. आगे भी आपको दिखाता हूँ इनकी एप्लीकेशन कैसे की गई थी. फर्स्ट एप्लीकेशन थी ऑन द डे ऑफ केसिंग, फर्स्ट डे ऑफ केसिंग, जिस दिन हमने केसिंग किया. दूसरा एप्लीकेशन था कि 10वें दिन केसिंग करनी है, 10th डे ऑफ केसिंग. और तीसरा जो सेट था वो था फर्स्ट और 10th डे ऑफ केसिंग. तो जो फर्स्ट और 10th डे ऑफ केसिंग था वो हमेशा ही बढ़िया रिजल्ट्स हम लोगों को दिया है. ये कुछ जैसे मैंने आपको पहले बताया था बोटेनिकल्स हैं और इसमें नीम ऑयल जो है उसने अच्छे रिजल्ट्स दिखाए हैं. आगे अगर हम बात करें इससे आगे चलते हैं. प्राइमोर्डियल अपीयरेंस की तो छोड़ें बात. इसके बाद अगर हम फंजीसाइड्स की बात करें तो फंजीसाइड्स में जैसे मैं आपको पहले बता रहा था बेनफिल जो कि कार्बेंडाजिम है, कंपेनियन जिसमें M45 मैनकोजेब और कार्बेंडाजिम दोनों रहते हैं, कवच है क्लोरोथेलोनिल के नाम से आता, क्लोरोथेलोनिल टेक्निकली है. तो ये जो हैं ये प्रोमिसिंग हैं डिजीज़ को चेक करने के लिए. कहाँ पे? पहले और 10वें दिन केसिंग की अगर स्प्रे कर दिया जाए आपके मशरूम बेड्स के ऊपर. एप्लीकेशन ऑन फर्स्ट एंड 10th डे ऑफ केसिंग एंड इफ रिक्वायर्ड ऑन फ्लैश ब्रेक्स, नॉट ऑन क्रॉप्स. अब मैं बात करना चाहूँगा कि जो मेरा अपना एक्सपीरियंस रहा है इंडस्ट्री का उसमें मेरी तरफ से इस डिज़ीज़ के लिए, क्योंकि देखिए व्हेन आई ग्रेजुएटेड आई ज्वाइंड द इंडस्ट्री एंड व्हेन आई सॉ it's a major concern of mushroom industry, then after that I rejoined my studies and made my research on this particular disease, and thereafter again joined the industries, renowned industries like Agro-Dutch Industries, Himalaya and many more, and found that application of फंजीसाइड्स एज वेल एज आपके जितने भी जैसे मैं आपसे नीम ऑयल की बात कर रहा था, पहले दिन केसिंग के, 10वें दिन केसिंग के और आपकी फ्लश ब्रेक्स में अगर एप्लीकेशन होता है डिजीज़ में बिल्कुल कंसिडरेबल सिग्निफिकेंटली हम लोग मैनेजमेंट उसका कर सकते हैं. उसके बाद सेकंड जो मेन मैनेजमेंट की बात आती है डिजीज़ मैनेजमेंट में, तो वहाँ पे क्या होता है कि एक क्रॉप हमारा ख़त्म हो गया, सेकंड क्रॉप हमने फ्रेश उसी सेम ग्रोइंग रूम में फिल करना है. सो इन बिटवीन द क्रॉप विच इज गोइंग टू बी वैकेटेड फ्रॉम द रूम एंड न्यू क्रॉप will be filled inside the room, new compost, fresh compost, we have to completely clean the room, right? Uske baad we have to disinfect, we have to pasteurize, we have to sanitize and we have to. Bas, final. I'm concluding. We have to fumigate the growing room in Indian conditions. Practically, we found that 20 grams of formalin plus 10 grams of potassium permanganate is very much effective for the management of this contagious and toll-taking disease. And foremost, and the last thing, your casing soil should be inoculum free from any disease. So thank you very much. If you have any question, please.
You have a question? Here's a question.
Hello.
Sir.
Myself Mehrotra from
जी.
KB Raipur. सर डिसीज में आपने जो मेजर डिसीज वेट बबल्स स्टार्टिंग वेट बबल्स
जी.
परंतु वेट बबल्स जब ग्रोइंग के फर्स्ट फ्लश के बाद ही ये वेट बबल्स की इंडिकेशन से नजर आते हैं. इसका जो इफेक्ट है ये तो सर कंपोस्ट से स्टार्ट होता है.
सर कंपोस्ट से कभी भी बहुत सारी स्टडीज़ हैं. मेरी तो छोटी सी ही स्टडी रही है, बट बहुत सारे लोगों ने, ऐसा नहीं है कि मेरी स्टडी है, वेट बबल पे बहुत सारी स्टडीज़ हुई हैं इवन इंडिया में भी, और सब लोगों ने पाया है कि अगर कंपोस्ट में इनोकुलेट भी कर देंगे तब भी डिजीज़ एक्सप्रेशन नहीं होता है. कंपोस्ट से नहीं आता है. आपका केसिंग सॉइल और आपका ग्रोइंग रूम, ये दोनों जो हैं ये मोस्टली आपके डिजीज़ को लेके आते हैं.
जो मैंने फेस किया है
सर, यहाँ पे देखिएगा, आपके क्वेश्चन का आंसर आपको मिलेगा. यहाँ पे देखिएगा डिजीज़ अपीयरेंस है ना. कंट्रोल में देखिएगा लास्ट में 11वें दिन आपकी डिजीज़ अपीयरेंस हो रही है, 11th डे ऑफ केसिंग, और यहाँ पे फर्स्ट डे ऑफ केसिंग जो है वो इनोकुलेट कर दिया गया है. ये मेरा अपना रिसर्च है सर, मैं किसी का डाटा लेके नहीं आया हूँ, मेरा अपना डाटा है. और ये उसी दिन इनोकुलेट हो गया है जिस दिन, उसी दिन उसके स्पोर्स उसमें डाल दिए गए हैं जिस दिन केसिंग की है. तो केसिंग करने के, उसमें केसिंग के अंदर इन्फेक्शन आने के 11 दिन के बाद आपको जो है वो बबल दिख रहा है. इट मीन्स जो आप बोल रहे हैं कि सेकंड में आता है, सेकंड में नहीं आता, वो पहले से आ चुका है. जैसे कोरोना की हम बात कर रहे थे, थोड़ा सा समझने की ज़रूरत है हमें. अप्रोच हल्का सा साइंटिफिक.
उसके क्या है, वो क्या है सर, कैसे इंडिकेशन क्या आएगा, कैसे इसको रिमूव किया जाएगा?
सर, हमने लास्ट में वही बात की कि आपकी इन सारे जो केमिकल्स हैं इनमें से कोई भी आपके पास अवेलेबल होगा, हम इसको फर्स्ट और 10th डे ऑफ केसिंग एप्लीकेशन करें, है ना जी. आपके ग्रोइंग रूम की क्लीनिंग अच्छी होनी चाहिए, कि केसिंग सॉइल आपका इनोकुलम फ्री हो, और आपका ग्रोइंग रूम जो हो वो, अगर आपके पास कुक आउट करने की फैसिलिटीज़ अवेलेबल नहीं है, ज़्यादातर इंडिया में फार्म्स हैं जहाँ पे बॉयलर्स नहीं हैं, कुक आउट करने की फैसिलिटी अवेलेबल नहीं है, तो 20 ग्राम्स फॉर्मल्डिहाइड, 10 ग्राम्स पोटाशियम परमैंगनेट पर मीटर क्यूब आपके रूम का जो साइज़ है उसको कैलकुलेट कीजिए, एंड you have to fumigate accordingly but carefully because it is also dangerous, very much dangerous. जी, later on discuss करते हैं सर, अगले भी स्पीकर होंगे. So I have already taken so much time. Thank you sir.
On the mushroom nutraceuticals future ahead, Dr. Hira's commitment to advancing the field of mycology and plant disease management has earned her prestigious awards, including the Kerala State Council for Science, Technology and Environment Fellowships for MSc and PhD in Plant Pathology, and recognition as a Southern Zone Councillor of the Mushroom Society of India. Her contributions were acknowledged with awards for the best oral presentation and best poster presentations at international conferences. I would like to invite our next speaker to the podium. Over to you now.
Good evening, one and all. So, my topic is mushroom nutraceuticals, futures ahead. So, there is a famous saying by Hippocrates that our food should be our medicine and our medicine should be our food. You might have heard about that. So, there is a importance in this saying. So, we will look into that, what happens. So, in our present day, we are having a large number of lifestyle diseases. As you all know, it is first of all, is the cholesterol, obesity, the cancer, diabetes, even the heart diseases. So, whether to choose between medicine and an alternative is very important in the present scenario. So, in this background, I am just going on to the topic. That is, all of you know, mushroom, it is a macrofungus with a distinct fruiting body, which is either hypogynous or epigynous, which is large enough to be picked by hand and can be seen by a naked eye. And here you can see the mystical world of mushrooms, that it indicates the different shape, size, color of mushrooms. So these mushrooms belongs to two different phyla, that is Mycota as well as Ascomycota, and these are the mushrooms which comes under Mycota, including our Agaricus bisporus, pleurotus, Calocybe, Volvarella, Cyathis, Auricularia, and even our poisonous mushrooms, Amanita. Coming to our ascomycete fungi, which includes some Moschella, tubers, cordyceps, and even the Silarium. So, these mushrooms are considered to be a perfect food because it is balanced with all the type of nutrients. And the most important one is its high quality protein, which makes it comparable with that of the red meat. That hence it is suggested to be a vegetarian meat. Then it contains almost all the essential amino acids. And the most important thing is that in a cereal-based diet, we are lacking some of the essential amino acids like lysine and isoleucine. And this is easily available in the case of mushrooms. Coming to the carbohydrate, it is only 40 to 60%. So in the case of carbohydrate, it is not in a easily digestible form. So it takes time to digest. So this mushroom becomes a delicacy of the diabetic patients. Then, and the important character is the absence of starch as well as cholesterol, which is a main problem with the red meat, which provides us proteins. Then, presence of ergosterol. This is the most important component in the case of mushrooms, which serves as a precursor of vitamin D. And if we can consume mushrooms, we can see the body can synthesize vitamin D. Then, and the important thing is that they are rich in fibers, which is lacking in our present day diet. And they are low in fat, hence it can be added in a diet which is needed for the obese persons. So see here, this is a nutrient composition. In this you can see the crude protein content is comparatively high in the case of the edible mushrooms. Then it is an important source of vitamin, as I have already told, like copper, calcium, phosphorus, iron, zinc, and even selenium and germanium. Then important vitamins like vitamin B and also the vitamin D. So that is a nutritive value. Coming to the medicinal value, it is highly anti-cancerous and antihistaminic, hypocholesteremic, hepatonephroprotective, as well as even it acts as a stamina enhancer. So we will see what is a nutraceutical. Nutraceutical, the term was first coined by Stephen D. Fellis, who was the founder and chairman of the Foundation of the Innovation in Medicine in 1989. It is defined as food or a part of the food that provides medical or health benefits, including prevention as well as the treatment of diseases. So let us see what is a mushroom nutraceutical. It is a refined or a partially refined extract either taken from the mycelium or the fruiting body, which is consumed either in a capsule or in a tablet form, now as a dietary supplement and not as a regular food. And it is having potential therapeutic application. This was a definition given by the famous mushroom scientists Chang and Buswell in 1996. So there is a difference between the pharmaceuticals as well as nutraceuticals. In the case of the pharmaceuticals, it is actual chemical preparations. We'll see. So this is a comparison between the nutraceuticals and the pharmaceuticals. In the case of composition, you can see it is either a modified or an enriched food, whereas in the case of the pharmaceuticals, it is a chemical preparation. In the case of nutrients, in the case of usage, in the case of nutraceuticals, it is generally maintained for, it is used for the maintenance of the health. Whereas in the case of pharmaceuticals, it is used for the specific medical treatment. Then coming to the mode of delivery of nutraceuticals, it is in the form of, it is consumed as part of the normal diet. Whereas in the case of pharmaceutical, that is our normal medicine, it is given as either as oral administration, inhalation, or topical or injections. But coming to the degree of control exerted by the regulatory agencies, there is no stringent control in the case of the nutraceuticals, whereas in the case of pharmaceuticals, there are strict control for the production. Then this accessibility, we can get nutraceuticals everywhere, but pharmaceutical, it's not so. So there is food, there is pharmaceuticals, in between comes the nutraceuticals. So, as I have told, mushrooms are having both the benefits under nutrition as well as therapeutic. So, what makes the mushroom more therapeutic? These are the bioactive compounds. The most important bioactive compounds include the polysaccharides, proteins and peptides, then terpenoids, polyunsaturated fatty acids, phenolic compounds, alkaloids. A large number of compounds are there, and these are the major ones. Coming to the polysaccharides, the most important one is the beta-glucan. As I have already told that in the case of the medicinal mushrooms like lentinus, they are capable of producing lentinine, which is anti-cancerous, and the main basic material for this property is beta-glucan. So it is having anti-tumor, anti-inflammatory activities, as well as antiviral, antioxidative properties. So in this, both the homopolysaccharides and the heteropolysaccharides are there, of which the monosaccharides includes the glucose. There are monosaccharides which are commonly seen in the case of these polysaccharides are glucose, mannose, galactose, xylose, arabinose, etc. And also the less frequently known is the fructose, ribose, glucuronic acid, etc. So how does this act? The mushroom polysaccharide, as I have already told, it is having anti-cancerous property. So the main mechanism by which the anti-cancer property is exerted is by arresting the cell cycle of the cancer cell and also the programmed cell death, that is apoptosis. Then the antioxidant property, which is exerted by means of the production of the enzyme like catalases, superoxide dismutase, peroxidase, etc. The activity of these enzymes will be more, and to increase the antioxidant activity, the reactive oxygen species and nitrous oxide concentration will be reduced. Similarly, the anti-diabetic property is enhanced by the islet cell regeneration, then increasing the insulin secretion as well as the glycogen synthesis increase. So these are the mushrooms which are capable of producing the bioactive polysaccharides, especially in the case of Agaricus bisporus. It is a monogalactoglucan, which is anti-tumorous. And see, it is most of the bioactivity is towards the anti-tumor or the anti-cancerous. All the edible mushrooms and also the Ganoderma is having the polysaccharides. And in the case of Ganoderma, GLP, which is used as an anti-Alzheimer's disease medicine. Then coming to the proteins, there are various types of proteins present in the case of mushrooms, which includes lectins, the fungal immunomodulatory proteins, the ribosome inactivating proteins, ribonucleases, and lactases. So I'm not going into the details. The most important thing is that the lectins, they are the proteins that binds with sugars. They will play an important role in the cellular signaling. And the most important thing is that the lectins, they are having the anti-proliferative activity against the cancer cell and also the antiviral properties. Our common edible mushrooms like Agaricus and Pleurotus is having this proper component in a larger scale. Similarly, in the case of the fungal immunomodulatory proteins are there, and the most important is in the case of Flammulina veltipus, and several FIPs have been identified from different mushrooms, even the Ganoderma lucidum, and recently from Hypsizygous marmorius, you et al. Have identified FIP HMA, which is a fungal immunomodulatory protein. So this is a ribosome activating proteins, which is seen in the case of Hypsizygous marmorius as well as Flammulina veltipus, and this is having antibacterial and antifungal activity. Then ribonucleases. They are mostly seen in the case of Boletus griseus and Armillaria. And in the case of the agrocybe, this is a mushroom which is known as agrocybe, and it is capable of producing a ribonucleases, and this is capable of antimicrobial, anti-proliferative, and anti-mitogenic activities. Then lactase is there. This is then, and the important compound is the terpenes. And usually the Ganoderma produces a large number of terpenes, and they are the stronger inhibitors of the acetyl choline esterases, which plays an important role in the signaling during the transmission of the nerve impulses. So these terpenes can act as a potential drug in the Alzheimer's treatment. So the common type of terpenoids observed are monoterpenoids, sesquiterpenoids, triterpenoids, and diterpenoids, and they are mostly active against the nitric oxide production. Then there is a production of ergosterol and tocopherol, and this tocopherol, they are having antioxidant properties which will scavenge the free radicals from our system so that the cancer cell multiplication will be inhibited. Then certain phenolic compounds are there, especially in the case of Flammulina veltipus, and like arbutin, epicatechin, etc. And in the case of Felinus, there is a phenolic compound as hispalon, which is having anti-inflammatory property. So there are several mushrooms which are having a large number of bioactive compounds which are active either as antibacterial, antifungal, or antimicrobial activity. So this is just to condense with, in the case of Agaricus bisporus, you have the lectins, which is enhances the insulin secretion as well as plays a very important role in anti-aging. And in the case of cordyceps, you have the cordycepin, which is anti-cancerous. Then it can be given as antidepressant, and this cordycepin can be used as a stamina enhancer too. So in the case of lentinus, I have already told about lentinan, that is, it is an anti-cancerous agent, and also it lowers the cholesterol. In the case of hercium, which is known as the lion's mane mushroom, it contains hercinones and ernacins, which is having neurotogenic activity. In the case of Pleurotus florida and Pleurotus sajakaju, there is a component known as lovastatin, which is used to reduce the cholesterol. So coming to the commercially available mushrooms, you have the reishi, that is Ganoderma, then Agaricus blazei, the capsules are available, then shiitake is there, then chaga mushroom is there, then coming to the blend of cordyceps and Ganoderma, it is available as Nutricafe, then a blend of Agaricus, cordyceps, Ganoderma, and lentinus, it is available as cocoa mojo powder. And another one is an immune assist. That's a blend of Cordyceps sinensis, Agaricus blazei, Lentinus idodes, Grifola frondosa, Grifola lucidum, and Coriolus versicolor. So these are the commercially available products of the medicinal mushrooms. So some pharmacologically interesting mushroom compounds include the lentinan, and in the case of Trametus versicolor, that one, it contains two polysaccharides known as PHP and PSK, and they are highly anti-cancerous. And the important one is the schizophyllum, which produces schizophyllin. It is also having anti-cancerous properties. This is the various way which the Bioactive molecules are usually isolated, that is hot water, ultrasound assisted extraction, microwave assisted extraction, as well as enzyme assisted extraction. And they also act as immunomodulators. So these are the, so when we consume mushrooms, we are not only adding nutritions to our body, but we are having a therapeutic property too. So by the consumption of mushrooms, we can reduce the diseases as well as enhance our immunity. So I am working in Kerala Agriculture University and working with the biomedicinal enrichment. I will show you what some data which I have done. That is standardization of the biomedicinal enrichment in edible oyster mushroom. So for that we have added the various amendments like adathoda, which can be used against cough, neem as well as osimum. And initially we found that there is some inhibition in the mycelial growth under in vitro conditions. But later on, after 9 days, it took up. So there was no inhibition, and we prepared the beds, and you can see the yield of the mushroom was comparatively high because this had a insecticidal property, so the pest and disease incidence was comparatively lower. Then after amending the beds with this medicinal plants, we have gone for the identification of the components from that, and we have identified certain exclusive compounds like pidolic acid, which is very essential for the growth of the nerves in the brain. And presently, we are working with the biofortification of edible oyster mushroom with more number of amendments, especially with Kiranelli, that is especially it is used for the treatment of jaundice. Then Bacopa, that is Brahmi. And here, in the case of Brahmi, the most important advantage is that it will be acting as a inducer for the nerve growth factor. And also turmeric. Till now, the studies is going on, and it is found that this turmeric is taking up this from amended media, and it is getting good yield. We are getting good yield, and also we didn't have any pest and disease attack. So with this, I end a nutraceutical a day may keep the doctor away. Thank you.
Hormone stimulator.
No, sir, I haven't worked with that. So I just started with this medicinal mushrooms. Then I added the medicinal amendments. So what happened is that there was the yield was comparatively higher. Maybe it is due to the pest and disease incidence was less.
Cordyceps sinensis is hormone stimulator.
This time my student is working with that. Cordyceps is that.
Yeah, Cordyceps sinensis. It decided that's why it boosts up the immune system. And people eat it as a medicine, a capsule. बहुत expensive है.
It's very expensive. It is a stamina enhancer.
70-80 pounds का एक मिलता है, 100.
But most of the athletes used to take it.
Yes.
Because it will fail the dopamine test.
Our honorable Prime Minister also
Yeah.
Cordyceps
No, it
sinensis
doesn't.
capsule.
It fails. The
That gives him
dopamine
energy.
test.
That is why they are preferring that.
It's decided they're the best hormone stimulator. Cordyceps sinensis. Not Minotaur. Sinensis. Natural source. Any questions?
Any questions? Yes.
With all due respect, ma'am.
Mike.
Considering all the magical benefits of our mushrooms, why haven't it been approved by any government agency or government authorities?
With regard to nutraceutical development.
Yes.
The thing is that the most of the studies are concentrated towards Europe and other countries. In India, not much studies are usually done. Only at the in vitro or in vivo studies it will be up to, but not up to the level of developing of this nutraceuticals. There may be several problems regarding the registration. That's the main problem.
And also, WHO also doesn't recognize the medical benefits of mushrooms, considering all the research which has been done in this field.
In vivo research always is conducted in collaboration with the hospitals. You need human beings. They have to be ready. The doctor has to certify. Doctors are scared of talking about mushroom giving to the patients. I did talk to so many doctors. They come and let us have a project. There's nothing doing here. I don't want to disturb my patients. I don't want to risk my patients. So, especially cancer patients, I wanted that to start
See,
with. I have my
in
cousin.
Kerala, in Amala Institute, they are trying with Ganoderma, but not to extensive scale. Only
Yeah.
in a very limited scale they are trying. In Kerala, it's there.
Ganoderma is increasing
Yes.
your immunity,
Yeah,
immune
it's
system.
definitely.
I don't think so they have much side effects.
No, it will not have much side effects.
And I'm considering this, what is the future of nutraceuticals products, especially in India?
In India, the marketing and bringing a nutraceutical thing will be a bit difficult. That's the truth. But if everybody stands together and the registration and the marketing, everything will go, it can.
But for that, the government has to take the stand, and especially the health organizations. And if they are not approving the nutraceutical benefits of a mushroom, then how does we as a public can promote it or produce awareness that is required?
That's the problem.
Does it require permission from the
Yeah.
government for selling nutraceuticals?
Yeah, sir.
Sure. Medicine में आता है.
It's not like medicine, sir, but it's registration is required.
I don't think it's required.
Okay.
It's like any Ayurvedic drug that is based on is a plant product.
It's a plant product, but not like that of a chemical, sir.
Ma'am,
That much
one question, that at what level of TRL?
Pardon?
It is at your development. At what level of TRL? Technology readiness level.
Okay. No, my studies are only in the initial stages, sir.
So TRL 3, TRL 4.
उस stage में पहुंचा नहीं.
You have filed already a patent?
No, sir.
Okay. So
I am just doing that, and the first one of my MSc student started the work. Now my PhD student is continuing the work, and after that only we can do everything.
Right. So the answer to his question comes that we bring this technology to TRL 9, then we go to Department of Biotechnology, Microbiology and Genetic Engineering group, and then we take it forward. So ma'am, let's work together to bring it to commercial scale like TRL 9, and then we can take it forward. Maybe by the next summit, we can take it and give answers to his questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Can we utilize, can we make the extractions out of the mushrooms and the specific extractions and use it in the pharmaceutical companies as well?
Yes, it is possible. That is the hot water extraction is there, and then the microwave assisted extraction is there. Now I am doing the extraction of schizophylla. I am in the process. I have come up to only hot water extraction because no people doesn't. Most of the people doesn't know how to extract it. So by trial and error, I am doing that, and now I have got crude polysaccharide. Within few months, I will get some schizophylla from my culture. Then I will fix which technique will be the most effective.
How about the ultrasound assisted extraction technique?
That we haven't done. I have done only with the hot water extraction. We are trying.
I think Himalaya company is there which is using the natural extracts.
That is a
They are
plant
using-
extracts.
Huh?
Plant is a plant extract.
Plant extracts. No,
Alcohol
in
based and water
general,
based.
in general, I'm talking about not specifically to mushrooms, but they do use those natural extracts in their pharmaceutical preparation.
Well, if there's no questions, then do we thank the speakers?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, speakers, for and that finishes our this session. Okay.
Yes,
Conclude.
she's winding.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We were truly honored to have you here with us. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Aarti Yadav, Assistant Professor, Shaheed Rajguru College of Applied Sciences for Women, University of Delhi, to kindly felicitate all of our guests.
For me? Thank you.